And with me right now are Pat Mastroianni and Stacie Mistysyn. I'm sure quite often recognized on the street as Joey Jeremiah and Caitlin Ryan. Hi, and welcome to Q.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Well, a real pleasure to see you guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sure everyone says this. Little surreal. A little surreal to see in real life. But you know what? We're going to get through it.
Yeah, this is what it's all about, man.
We're real
I want to make you feel like a 14-year-old girl again.
I feel like that every day. It's hard to believe it's been 30 years since Degrassi Junior High premiered. And you feel like that was a moment that changed a lot of young Canadians' lives when that show went on the air. However, we can't forget that it was obviously a moment that changed your life as well. So do you remember your first days on set, your first day on set? What was it like?
You know what? I think it was just chaos from what I remember. There were so many of us on set because we played extras when we weren't even playing. If we didn't have a speaking part that day, we were all kind of held in one big room where they had arts and crafts. They had a teacher, a tutor who would try and engage us in things to keep us from
just to keep you
bouncing off
busy.
the wall. Just to
Okay,
keep us
right.
busy and not too hyper, because a lot of us, so many kids in one room, we got pretty loud. And she would try and get us to do sing-song and rug hooking and
Tie-dye T-shirt.
various things.
Is this true?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not
Anything to keep us
lying. This
busy.
is true.
Yeah.
What do you remember, Pat?
I just remember showing up on set thinking, okay, this is a cool summer job. This will be fun. I don't know how long it's going to last, but after that summer, I was kind of like, I really don't want this to end. This has been quite fun. And, people have to remember the show wasn't that popular in the late 80s. It was only in reruns when CBC started to broadcast it after school, weekdays, 5 days a week, where this resurgence of fanism showed up. And people were proud to say, oh, I watched Degrassi. Yeah, I know the Zit Remedy. But back in the 80s, nobody would admit that they watched it. It was this underground kind of quiet show, or you had to watch it in school, in health class or something like that.
Wow.
And then in
Yeah.
the 90s, when it rebroadcast, that's when it kind of got a little bit more mainstream.
I want to play a little clip from the show, if that's okay.
Sure.
So take a listen to this.
Caitlin, can I talk to you for a sec?
Sure. I like your tape, by the way.
Really? Thanks. Listen, I was wondering if you had a partner for this movie thing with Radish.
No.
Could I be your partner?
Sure.
Great.
A scene from season 3 of Degrassi Junior High called He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not. Joey asks Caitlin for help on an assignment, but she thinks it's a date. The actors that played Joey and Caitlin are here in front of me right now, which again is tremendously surreal. Stacie, what goes through your head when you hear that?
Seriously, the first thing I think about is how Canadian I sound. 'Cause when I was in LA for like 11 years, and I remember coming back and watching some of those earlier episodes, and I'm like, oh my God, I have the biggest Canadian accent ever. Because you go through thinking, I don't have a Canadian accent. I don't say A, and I'll do all those things. But yeah, it was pretty thick. It was pretty heavy.
What do you hear, Pat?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like Stacie sounds the same almost. I mean, her voice hasn't changed. Mine is about 5 octaves higher. That's how I know I was acting, because I would really try hard to push. And joking about Canadian accents, I think Kevin Smith gave us a complex about that, because Kevin would always say how much he loved the show and the about, things that were sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's not an accent. That's how we talk.
I think growing up in Newfoundland when I was watching Degrassi, it was like, oh, that's how people in Canada talk. Like that's how people who aren't here talk. That's what that's what real Canadians sound like, And you think about when someday when I move to Toronto, I'm going to sound like that too.
It does bring back a flood of memories, though. Every time I hear a clip or see a scene from the old show, I think less about the actual scene and more about what was going on that summer, or what we were doing off set, or plans that we were making to go to Collingwood to go rent a cottage that summer,
Right.
or New Year's plans that we made together. We literally would vacation together when we were off set and spend free time together. It was like having a second high school experience outside of our regular high schools.
And as you mentioned, most of the time these shows were watched in school. It didn't really get that big until the CBC started rebroadcasting them after school on the weekdays. But Stacie, when did you realize that this show was bigger than just ratings, was having a real impact on people?
I think the first time we made a public appearance somewhere, I don't even remember what our first one was. Maybe
Was it a mall
like
in Montreal?
Rochester even or something.
okay.
But I just the fans, it was huge. It was just And once there was another incident. I went to like Niagara on the lake or something with my mom, and we had to actually leave through the back door of the restaurant because there was a lot of people found out that we were there, that I was there, and they were gathering out the front door. It just looked at the crowds of people and getting recognized as much as we were. That's when it really became kind of surreal and really hit home that so many people were watching.
I mean, it sounds so exciting, but it must have been a little scary time.
It was never scary. I mean, the worst case that I ever experienced, or I guess my
was a little
mom
scary.
experienced, was that somebody parked their car in front of my parents' house waiting for me to get up and leave that day so that they could say hi to me. They had driven from Chicago to meet me. And I'm like, how did you even find out where I lived? But really, I think we pretty much led normal lives living in Toronto, because Toronto, we kind of take our celebrities or our personalities at, well, it's just an actor from a TV
We
show.
downplay it a lot,
We downplay it. We don't put our Canadian actors on pedestals like Americans do with their
you're right.
American celebrities. So I never felt like I couldn't leave my house or go to the mall or go see a movie with my friends. And really, when we did, we were usually as a group, like Stefan and Wheels and I would, Snake and Wheels and I would go out to a movie or whatever, and people would come up and just say hi or just shake hands. Or these days, it's more like seeing an old friend from high school.
Right.
Like, I grew up with you, dude. I felt like I went to high school with you guys at Degrassi. And I'm like, cool, nice to meet you. And again,
I think it was more when we left Toronto, actually. We'd go to like smaller cities, or even if we went, we did a few international trips, Pat and I together. And
London, Denmark,
it's-
Sweden, we went a lot of those places.
yeah, it kind of just boggled my mind, like
Yeah.
just how many people were aware of the show.
It's so obvious to me now that you really care so deeply about this past and about the show, and obviously you're embracing it. But I'm guessing that wasn't always the case when you left Degrassi. Is that true, Pat?
For me, definitely, I wanted to shed that Joey Jeremiah image. I wanted to get rid of that Degrassi name off my resume almost, and basically be an adult actor, a character actor.
You were worried it was following you around.
It was. Absolutely, it was following me around. I mean, even the casting directors in the city said, you're never going to be anything but Joey Jeremiah. And I said, I get it, but let me age a little bit. Let me get older. Let me try for roles that are outside of that high school character. And it took a long time, and I would, stop doing interviews for media regarding the show. And then I was just getting to that place in my career where I was happy and I was doing stuff that was different from Joey Jeremiah. And they brought the Degrassi, The Next Generation back, and I came back for 5 seasons. But again, I embraced it because Stacie was going to be there, and Stefan, and Amanda Steptoe, and I was reliving my youth by coming back to doing The Next Generation and helping the show get its legs.
What about you, Stacie?
You know what? It was almost exactly the same. And that's one of the reasons I took off to LA was because there were a number of reasons, but one of the main reasons was also because I needed to feel like I could start over, fresh. We were pretty much typecast from the show, which was a good thing, but it was also a bad thing. And I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do after the show ended, because I pretty much grew up on the show. So there's a lot of soul searching and a lot of feeling like or at least I had to prove myself, that I could play older characters, that I could even play my own age. There was a period where I wouldn't even go out for my own age because I looked so young,
Right.
or, those kind of things. So when they did ask us to do The Next Generation, I had that, I've been trying to escape this for so long. But the fact that people wanted the show to happen, I think, is the main reason we decided to do it. It's
we
like
did
if there
John
wasn't,
Vision, remember, Stacie? We did
yeah.
that appearance on John
And,
Vision.
and
No,
let
I
me
wasn't
say,
there.
I absolutely remember
You weren't there?
Degrassi reunion, but I don't remember Caitlin being at the
Oh, my
John
goodness.
Vision Degrassi reunion.
rumors started that I slighted the show or something, but I didn't even hear about it. Or I was in LA, so
you
there
were
was no
living in
way
LA.
I could make it for that. So I missed the John Vision thing.
See, that was huge for me because that made me realize how much of a momentous show that this was for fans, that they remembered it and cared about it so much. I mean, I remember there was an overflow room with 500 people in it that they couldn't actually be in the room where we were doing the taping. And then the producers saw that and they went, maybe there is a Next Generation here that we can
Right.
toy with and,
I mean,
and bring the show back.
It was so huge even for me, and I was younger, so I watched the show in the late '90s on CBC because they continued to air it after school. I remember that John Vision moment very, very well, and you can tell our super fan producer Catherine Stockhausen out there. As soon as I said, "Yeah, I don't think Caitlin was there," and Catherine just immediately went, "No, I remember."
But
that
it
very
wasn't
well.
because I was a snob. Like, rumors went around seriously that Stacie didn't want to go because she doesn't like Degrassi. But nothing nothing to do with that.
So when talk came about doing this, about getting together again, doing reunion, doing press, going to some Comic-Cons, how did you guys react to that?
Well, how did you react, Stacie? Because I actually reached out to Stacie on Facebook.
I know you were kind of the leader in this. You were the kind of person.
Basically, I had been doing comic book conventions for a few years, and Stefan and I started doing public speaking at universities in the early 2000s, and I embraced that whole atmosphere of pop culture and nostalgia and the comic convention scene, and I was into it just personally solo, making appearances. And every show I went to, people would be like, well, what's Caitlin up to these days? What's Snake up to these days? Whatever happened to Tessa? And I said, well, they're around. I don't talk to them. Wouldn't it be nice to have you all here together? And I thought, yeah, it would be nice. And it does coincide with the 25th anniversary of School's Out, our show finale. And I reached out to Stacie, and I'm curious to know what her initial reaction was.
Well, let's hear it. What was your initial reaction, Stacie? Not to put you on the spot here.
I thought it was pretty cool. I thought enough time has passed that, like Pat said, it's all about the timing. The timing just seems right, and the fact that it's not just something that I'm doing by myself. It's the bunch of us, and it does feel like a reunion. So I'm excited to do this. I think there'll be enough of. I'm hoping people are going to show up to see us because this is completely new to me.
I mean, of course, there's one prominent cast member who won't be there. Neil Hope, who played Wheels, died at 35 in 2007. Obviously a core member of the original cast. Stacie, I'll ask you first. Had you kept in touch with him after the show ended?
I don't think many of us had. No, he kind of went off and did his own thing. In fact, producers couldn't reach him for a while because there was a documentary that they did, kind of a Where Are They Now, a few years ago. And they really had to track him down to find him. So, no, we pretty much lost contact.
How about you, Pat?
Yeah, right after School's Out, he went his own way, and I believe he moved out to Vancouver at some point for a while. A lot of the cast separated and went their own ways. I think we were all ready to go to the next stage of our lives, school or moving to Los Angeles and, for Stacie. And we just kind of went, okay, it was a good run. We had fun and good luck and have a good one. And we didn't stay in touch. And when we did the Degrassi Next Generation, Neil did come back and make an appearance in the reunion episode. And then he did make another appearance in season 2 or 3 when the character Snake got cancer. But again, it was very surreal because he was there, but he wasn't there, and he didn't really want to engage. And then he left and went back wherever he was living at the time. I know he had a lot of health issues. He was dealing with, I believe, diabetes and a couple of other health problems. And then all of a sudden, we heard that his family was looking for him for 5 years and couldn't track him down until, unfortunately, they did find that there was a John Doe buried at a cemetery, and they figured it out that it was him.
So how do you remember him now?
Well, I don't remember him as the person I met during filming The Next Generation. I remember him from School's Out, the Degrassi Junior High days. He was always at my house, hanging out. I do remember a guy that had a tough childhood. His family wasn't always there. He had a difficult relationship with his family. He wasn't as blessed as a lot of us were with our family support and our friends. He had a tough go of it, but his memory will always live on in the show. He was a beloved character. He was a part of the Zit Remedy. The Zit Remedy will never be the same again without him. And I do hope that this reunion tour, we can give him a tribute and remember him fondly.
Exactly. And I pretty much grew up with him because he was on Kids of Degrassi Street with me. So
This is before Degrassi Junior High.
This is before Degrassi Junior High. And our characters were always he was like my love interest on Kids of Degrassi Street. And then after, he was pretty much like a brother because after the show ended, we actually lived together for a while too. And I saw him go through a lot of stuff. He as like Pat said, he had some issues and he struggled for a bit, and then we lost touch. So it was just sad, I think, for all of us when we heard,
And I think
what
we can
had
all relate.
happened.
We can all relate
Yeah.
to somebody that we grew up with that just kind of lost his way.
of course,
And,
of
we
course.
all have someone in our lives. It
Yeah.
could be a family member or a friend from high school. So we get it. It doesn't always work out for the best.
But he'll always be a part of the Degrassi experience.
Yeah.
He'll always be a part of our lives, no matter no matter how we left off, or he'll always have a special place for
And I think that that's, that the part of the memory for seeing you guys here together, obviously I'm saying it was very surreal, but it's very nice. It's very nice to see this part of your youth and part of your childhood put together. But for you, it's something so different. I mean, it's a part of your actual life, and it's remembering a friend.
It is. And you know what? When I meet fans at these conventions and they come up and they shake your hand and they look at you in the eye and they go, hey, thank you for being a part of my childhood. I'm like, dude, I'm just happy to, been there for you. And it's a nice moment. They just want to hug you. They want to take a selfie with you. And they just want that connection. And, they've spent years watching the show on TV. And there's a moment of you actually physically touching that person that you grew up with. And that makes you feel young again and makes you remember a simpler time. And I think we represent that for a lot of Canadians and a lot of people who grew up watching the show.
Yeah, it makes us feel good too, because it is like a bond. I do feel like we shared something together because we did kind of grow up together, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thanks so much. That was fun.
This has been a lot of fun.